police 831.
Yes, I'd like to report a murder, a dead body or something.
Where at?
The address is 1346 East 56th Street, in the alley. And the guy that dropped her off was driving a white and blue Dodge van. And, he threw her out. The only thing that's hanging out of this, like he threw a gas tank on top of her, and the only thing you can see out is her feet.
This 911 call was one of the clues that investigators received about the subject of today's story, a serial killer who was dubbed the Grim Sleeper due to the long period of time that he sat dormant between his murder sprees, all while evading being caught over the span of 2 decades. However, this clue is not the one that led to the discovery of his identity. That one is far more unbelievable. The case of the Grim Sleeper was one that perplexed investigators at the Los Angeles Police Department for decades. Beginning in 1984, the LAPD became aware of an apparent serial killer targeting black women who were chronic drug users and street sex workers after discovering the bodies of several women in alleyways and dumpsters in the South Los Angeles area. The LAPD dubbed the suspected serial killer the Southside Slayer and set up the aptly named Southside Slayer Task Force to work on catching him. By January 1986, 15 murders had been linked to the case and more detectives were added to the task force. Investigators were stumped. They had few leads, little evidence, and had not yet been able to link the murders to a single killer. By late 1986, conflicting modus operandi and suspect descriptions caused the investigators to doubt their original theory of a single killer being responsible for all of the murders. Evidence suggested that several serial killers, possibly 4 or more, were responsible. The Southside Slayer Task Force began to be wound down in 1987 because of the lack of results, relative to the expense and manpower being used. Task Force Commander Lieutenant John Zorn told the Los Angeles Times in December of 1987 that the flow of clues is almost non-existent at this point. However, over the following years, it was found that the murders were indeed committed by different killers, with 9 of them being linked to other perpetrators. One particular group of killings, though, which were linked by common elements, including the use of a .25 caliber firearm, remained unsolved and unaccounted for by any other known serial killer. The first known murder in this series was the murder of Deborah Jackson in August of 1985, which was linked to the August 1986 murder of Henrietta Wright by forensic firearm examination. By 1987, there were 7 victims linked to the same gun, all of whom had been shot in the chest at close range. 2 decades later, the perpetrator of these crimes was named the Grim Sleeper due to a long period of apparent inactivity between crimes. In May of 2007, the murder of Janisha Peters was linked through DNA analysis to 11, possibly 12, unsolved murders in Los Angeles, the first of which occurred in 1985. The 800 Task Force was then formed, consisting of 7 detectives. Unfortunately, this task force did not have much luck in their first year, and in early September 2008, Los Angeles officials announced that they were offering a $500,000 reward to help catch the killer. On February 25, 2009, Police Chief William J. Bratton addressed the press for the first time regarding the case, at which time the police formally gave the killer the Grim Sleeper nickname chosen by LA Weekly. Bratton also released a 911 call from the 1980s in which a man reported seeing a body being dumped, even giving a detailed description and license plate number of the van involved. Let's listen to that 911 call now.
Police 831.
Yes, I'd like to report a murder, a dead body or something.
Where at?
The address is 1346 East 56th Street, in the alley. And the guy that dropped her off was driving a white and blue Dodge van, 1PZP746.
Okay, are you saying P like in Tom?
P like in puppy.
P what?
1PZ.
Like in zebra,
Uh-huh. P.
like in Tom,
No, P. Like in pup.
2P, like in pup.
Right.
Uh-huh.
746.
What color van was it?
Blue and white.
Did you get a look at him?
I didn't see him.
How long ago did this happen?
It happened about 30 minutes ago, so I'm down the street at the phone, so it happened about 30 minutes ago. And, he threw her out. The only thing that's hanging out of this, like he threw a gas tank on top of her, and the only thing you can see out is her feet.
Okay, what's your name?
Huh?
What's your name?
Oh, I'm saying anonymous. I know too many people. Okay then, bye-bye.
All right.
The dead woman was later identified as 23-year-old Barbara Ware. Ware was shot once in the chest and was found covered in trash. A plastic bag was draped over her upper torso and head. The 1976 Dodge van, which was linked to the license plate described by the caller, was located approximately 4.5 miles from the body, and later proven to be registered and owned by the now closed Cosmopolitan Church. The hood of the van was still warm to the touch, and people inside the church said that they had used the van earlier in the evening. Several church members were interviewed, and the van was processed for evidence for some connection to the crime and/or Barbara Ware. No evidence was ever determined. In March 2009, Christine Pelisek, an investigative reporter with LA Weekly, conducted an extensive interview with Inietra Washington, the sole survivor of the Grim Sleeper's attacks. Washington described him as a black man in his early 30s. He looked neat, tidy, kind of geeky. He wore a black polo shirt tucked into khaki trousers. She said he owned an orange Ford Pinto with a white racing stripe on the hood. It looked like a Hot Wheels car, she recalled. He offered her a ride, and after she refused, he told me, "That is what is wrong with you black women. You think you're all that." He was persistent. After some banter back and forth, she got into his car. She was impressed by the car's interior. The gear shift handle was memorable, she said, pimped out with a ping-pong-sized marble ball. The inside was all white, with white diamond pattern upholstery. When she mentioned a party, he definitely invited himself, and she said he was welcome to come. He then said that he needed to stop briefly at his uncle's house. They wound through residential roads in his sporty car, ending up on a street whose name she did not take note of. The polite stranger parked outside a mustard-colored house, partly obscured by hedges, got out, walked up to the house, briefly talked to someone inside, and returned about 10 minutes later. Shortly after driving away from this house, they began arguing when he suddenly pulled a small handgun out of a pocket on the driver's side of the Pinto and shot her in the chest as he drove along the residential streets. The killer apparently documented his attacks with a Polaroid camera. She blacked out but was startled awake by the bright flash of the camera. The man had taken her picture and assaulted her. She remembers grabbing at him and the two struggled. She pleaded to be taken to a hospital. He refused. Despite her half-conscious condition, she's almost certain that he told her he couldn't take her to a hospital because he didn't want to get caught. Little did they know, law enforcement missed an earlier opportunity to catch the Grim Sleeper in 2003 when he was arrested for unrelated charges. However, he was given unsupervised probation and his DNA was not collected at the time. Police had found no exact match between DNA found at the crime scenes and any of the profiles in California's DNA profile database. So they searched the database for stored profiles that demonstrated sufficient similarity to allow police to infer a familial relationship. Finally, in early 2010, law enforcement received a major break in the case when they found similar DNA belonging to Christopher Franklin, who had been convicted of a felony weapons charge. Christopher was too young to have committed the murders, but the familial DNA match led investigators to look at his father, Lonnie David Franklin Jr., as the likely perpetrator. Armed with this evidence, undercover officers followed Franklin to a birthday party in an LA restaurant, where one officer acting as a busboy collected Franklin's dishes, silverware, glasses, and pizza crusts to obtain DNA. According to District Attorney Steve Cooley, detectives then used a piece of the discarded pizza along with saliva found on the victims to establish a DNA match. Cooley has said he believes this is the first time a familial DNA search has been used successfully in the state. On July 7, 2010, Lonnie Franklin was arrested. Once in police custody, detectives began interrogating Franklin as to his connection with the victims, hoping for answers as to why he committed such atrocities. But keep in mind, by this point, they had already confirmed his DNA was found on all of the mentioned victims. Let's take a look at the interrogation footage of Lonnie Franklin, aka the Grim Sleeper, now.
Do you know why you're here?
No, I don't.
Do you have any idea why you're here?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, we're working on an investigation, and there's a warrant for your arrest, charging a count of murder.
Count of murder.
Yes, sir. So before we get into it, I know I can see right by your expression you got a lot of questions to ask us. And, we got a couple to ask you too. But
Okay.
I'm sure you've seen this on TV 1,000 times. I've got to
Okay.
advise you, and then we'll talk about it man to man here. And
Okay.
that okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have the right to remain silent. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have the right to the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You want to sit here and talk to us about that?
I don't even know what it's about. You know.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, here, I forgot. If you cannot afford an attorney, want to be appointed for you free of charge for questioning. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to sit here and talk about the warrant
Yes.
and what the charges are against
Yes.
you?
Mhm.
Okay, great. We have been investigating a murder that occurred in 2007. Okay? And it involves a young lady. And I'm going to ask you, show you a photograph of this young lady and see if you recognize her.
No, I don't.
You've never seen that girl before?
No, I haven't.
Who is that? Is that Peters?
Yes.
All right.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Like I said, we've been investigating this. It's 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not down here. We didn't just pick your name out of a hat. I mean, you watch all these little police shows and CSIs and all that stuff with modern technologies and all that.
Right.
Okay, well, you've been identified to this young lady. Okay, do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you have any questions about that? Why would you be identified?
I don't know. I don't know. I know a lot of people, but I don't know her.
Okay. All right. So do you know how I'm sure you've probably heard about DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, your DNA was identified in relation to this young lady's death. Okay.
No, I'm just saying. That's what you're telling me, so that's all I can. Yeah, that's all I can say.
How could that happen?
I don't know.
You have no idea?
I have no idea.
You've never seen this lady before
No, I haven't.
in your life?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to ask about her?
No.
Okay, in 2003, this young lady was found killed. Have you ever seen her?
No, I haven't.
You don't know that lady?
No, I don't.
You've never seen her?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Mr. Franklin, just like the other one, your DNA was found on this young lady.
Okay.
Is there a way to explain that?
No, it's not.
There's no
I don't
way.
know this. I don't know this lady. Sorry. Mm-mm.
That's Valerie McCorvey.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Think about it. Think hard.
I'm
This is
thinking.
very, very serious. I mean, you telling me you watch these shows. I mean, I like we put your name out of a hat.
No, I don't know her.
Okay. 2002, this young lady was found. Do you recognize her?
No, I don't.
Princess.
I don't.
Never seen her before?
Mm-mm.
Mr. Franklin, we're both old guys.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting here, and you know, I'm ready to answer questions of you.
Right.
I'm being upfront with you, and by you telling me that you don't know these people or know any way that your DNA got on their bodies,
No.
you're insulting my intelligence.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I do not know.
Okay. In 1988, this young lady, Alicia Alexander, was found. And again,
My
it's all,
DNA
it's
is
all linked to you. Now, Mr. Franklin, I mean, you watch these shows. You tell me once, you know, maybe you met the gal and you had a little relationship with her and she turns up dead. You know, maybe a coincidence. I just showed you
4 people.
4 people. I mean, your coincidences are getting pretty slim. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, sir.
I mean, what do you? I mean, do you have anything to say? I mean,
No, I don't. I don't know the people. I'm sorry.
I mean, how would your DNA get there? What logical reason?
I have no clue. No clue. I mean, I have no clue how my DNA would get there.
Okay. This young lady, Lucretia Jefferson.
No. I don't know her.
Again, coincidence?
My DNA. I have no idea.
Let me ask you something. Do you know what DNA is?
Yes, the blood, saliva, anything, any body fluids that make contact.
Okay, and it's like a fingerprint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, only one person has that DNA.
Okay, so you understand it probably better than I do.
I understand, but I don't know these people. So,
Okay.
yeah, you got 5 or 6 people here, and I
So
don't
far,
know.
so far.
Yeah.
From me,
Yeah, no.
Are you? You go to church?
Yes, I do.
Right.
Matter of fact, I'm supposed to be at church tonight.
Oh, okay.
What church is that?
I go to Greater New Baptist Church.
Where?
Greater New Baptist Church
Where is that?
in Los Angeles.
What street?
San
is that?
Pedro.
On San Pedro and
San
what?
Pedro and Martin Luther King.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been going to that church?
I've been going there for like 3 years. Off and on it, I'm a member of the Silver Lining of Hope.
Okay. Where'd you go to church before that church?
Oh, I bounced into my wife's church on the corner right there.
What church does she go to?
Jerusalem.
Okay. And do you remember a church that used to be on Normandy? The name of the Cosmopolitan Church. Remember that?
Normandy and what?
60th.
60th
No, I don't.
Normandy.
No. I only go to that's the only 2 churches I.
Well, this is going back in
Okay.
probably the late 1980s.
Okay.
Do you remember there?
No, I wasn't.
Did you used to have access to drive their van?
No, I didn't.
Did you know people that went there?
No, I don't.
You're not that far from 60th and Normandy from where you're living.
Yeah, it's around the corner from the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's not familiar to you, the Cosmopolitan Church.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right. Well, I'm just testing your memory here. You're
67,
well versed in
it's,
DNA.
It's because I buy food right there right there 1 block before you get to Gage, just a little Mexican spot I get food at.
Well, the church isn't there anymore, but years ago it was there. But I'm just personally, I'm very impressed at your knowledge of the DNA, that it's saliva and blood, and it's only connects to one person in the world. And I mean, even your kids don't have your DNA. You know, they might have your blood type or something, but they don't have your DNA. That's just like they don't have your thumbprint. It's only Mr. Lonnie Franklin that has the DNA makeup that's found on those young ladies right there. So how in God's name is that possible?
I don't know.
No thought. I mean, okay, all right.
Ready? This young lady here, Mary Lowe is her name.
No, I don't know her. She looked like girl lived in Rialto, one of my wife's friends. But her name is I can't get it right now. Her name is she was called a few weeks ago. I can't. It come to me. But I don't know her.
Okay.
But she was favored the same facials.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's another one. This young lady here, her name was Bernita Sparks.
Wow, she looked heavy set.
Why?
No, I just said she looked fat.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Okay. You ever own any weapons?
Yes.
What kind of weapons?
I have a 22 long rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
38 revolver.
Okay. What else?
I got I had a 9mm.
9mm?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other handguns?
22 pistol, 22 revolver.
22 revolver?
Mhm.
That's different than the long rifle you mentioned?
Yes, it is.
Did you purchase those in gun shops? Or did you get them on the street?
I purchased a couple of them at gun shops, gun shows.
At gun shows
Mm-hmm.
and gun shops? Okay.
Western Surplus was down the street. I bought I bought one. It should be on record. I bought one there.
The 22 long rifle?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said the 9mm?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you get that?
The 9mm, I sold it, but I got it out of Texas.
Okay, so you no longer have that gun?
No, I don't.
And you mentioned the 38?
38 revolver.
Okay. Where'd you purchase that one at?
I think I got it from my dad.
From your dad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is that still at the house?
It was stolen. No,
It was stolen?
It was stolen. It was broke into. House was broke into some years ago.
Oh, okay.
And it got stolen.
Do you remember when that was stolen?
See, we stole a car in '88, but they broke into the house in '91.
91.
Mm.
And that's a 38 revolver?
I lost two guns.
Okay, what was the other gun?
A 22 pistol.
The 22 pistol. That's different from the long one.
Right,
You're talking about the revolver.
right. It was a little. You can fit right here in your pocket. Little 22
Well,
revolver.
And the 22 long rifle, that's, what, a semi? I mean, could you...
It's a Ruger. It was a Ruger.
So it's like a semi-auto?
Yeah, I guess so. You
Okay.
can. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why I'm just trying to make the distinction there.
Mhm.
And so that's all the handguns you own?
That's it.
You don't own any more handguns?
No more.
What about that 25 caliber there in your closet?
25 caliber. What is it, a rifle?
No.
25 caliber. It's a 25 caliber. A pistol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not mine.
It's not?
No, that's my brother-in-law's. Delroy Lino. He has two. I have two things of his. He got evicted. We just picked up his stuff last week.
What was the other thing you got?
What?
What was the other thing that you got? You said you picked up two things?
Oh, the shotgun.
Where is that at in the house?
That was in my closet.
In the same closet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You don't own any other handguns?
No.
This young lady here. Name is Barbara Ware. Never saw her before. No, nothing about it.
Nothing about it. Sorry, I don't.
Again, it's like I told you earlier. I mean, I'm really feeling insulted here because all of these people. It's like I told you earlier, Lonnie. I mean, come on, we're grown men here. I'm not playing games with you. I'm laying my cards right here on the table, just like this. I'm laying my cards right here. I'm telling you. Maybe one, I'd say, okay. Two, I wouldn't be going to Vegas if I were you, because your luck isn't that good. But look at all of these. Your luck is running out fast. And unless you come up with some kind of explanation. I mean, I'm not hiding anything from you. I'm telling you straight up.
I understand that.
This young lady, her name is Henrietta Wright. Go ahead, take a close look.
No recollection at all.
No recollection, or you just don't?
I don't know her. But ugly, I don't know her. So,
What?
but ugly, I don't know her. Sorry, I don't know her.
This young lady, Deborah Jackson. So if I told you were connected to the deaths of all of these ladies, who do you think Detective Kilcoyne and I would be sitting here looking at? Huh? You don't know who we'd be looking at?
Oh, okay. You looking at me? You looking at me?
I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Yes.
I mean, all of these people that you say you don't know, through scientific evidence, are all pointing the finger at Lonnie David Franklin Jr. Sit there and look at their faces, all staring at you, pointing that finger at you. Don't insult my intelligence. Please don't insult. I'm gray-haired. I'm going bald. I'm getting close to the end here. I've done this a lot, okay? Just like you. You've been around. I respect your experience. You're probably the best mechanic there is out there. You're good at what you do. And we've been doing this for a long time, too. If we weren't absolutely convinced that you did this to these young ladies. Give me an explanation.
I have no explanation to give you for something I didn't do.
So you're just saying you just got a run of bad luck?
No, I'm not saying I had a run of bad nothing. I don't know these people.
That you're connected to them? Look at them. They're all staring at you, pointing their fingers. Well, if they could point their fingers, they're looking right at you. There's my cards. There's my deck right there.
Yeah.
I think my hand's a lot better than yours right now, Lonnie. Your bluff ain't cutting it.
What in God's name caused this to happen? Caused Mr. Lonnie Franklin, when he's not working on a car, when he's not with his wife and children, when he's not driving the trash truck or fixing a police car in a garage somewhere, why he's out creeping at night and he can't control himself, or he just whatever. But how did this happen? These families, just like you would want to know if something
I don't
happened.
creep at night, my man.
Oh,
We'll talk about that in just a second. But we know an awful lot about you, probably much, much more than you realize, especially since the comment you just made that you don't creep at night.
Oh, I have a place where I go. I have a girlfriend.
And where is that?
I guess you know, Buckingham.
Okay.
Over on Palmyra.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that you cruise Western Avenue looking for whores every night.
Every night, okay.
Or not every night.
Not every night. You were Saturday.
You were out there last night. The cops shined their light at you and you skedaddled on home. You were out there a couple of nights ago, Saturday night.
I saw the cop when he shined his light on me. I was on
Right,
40,
uh-huh.
I was
Right
on
when you-
48th and 48th and Western.
Okay.
Right, right.
48th and Western, because I pulled over to use my. If he didn't notice, I was using my cell phone.
Uh-huh.
Right, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, what
Lonnie,
was it
let-
Saturday? What was it Saturday?
Saturday,
Out there, 41st and Western.
41st and Western. I was with a friend that night. His girlfriend. That was.
Okay, let me stop you right there because I don't want to hear your bullshit.
Yeah,
Okay,
no
I'm not going to
problem,
waste
no
my
problem.
time in here listening to
I'm not
bullshit
lying
about
to
I
you. I know I'm
pulled
not
over,
lying.
talk on the phone, and this, that, and this, and that. How are you going to explain away your one and only on Earth DNA attached to all these young ladies over a 25-year period?
I can't explain
You seen the billboards up on Western Avenue with the reward and all the faces, these faces?
Right
it.
here. Oh, you've seen the billboard where there's one right at 91st and Western.
I haven't
You haven't seen the news over the last several
I haven't seen
years? You know what the news calls you? You tell me what the news calls you. Well, I know damn well you know. I mean, you watch the news at night, you watch TV
I
on
heard him talk
occasion.
about some guy on the news.
So what do they call him?
What was it? The Reaper?
The what?
The Reaper? Grand Reaper? Something.
The Grim Sleeper.
Oh, okay. I know it was something like that. Yeah, I saw it on TV. I look at TV.
Well, of course you do.
I
Of
got
course you
TV in
do.
every room. I
Well,
don't
there
miss
you
it.
go. All
There
right.
it is. And I'm
So,
sure
and
you've
here we
seen
are,
all
sitting
the-
here. Paul and Dennis are sitting here having a chat with the Grim Sleeper, and that is Mr. Lonnie David Franklin Jr.
It's not me, my man. Sorry, it's not me.
Okay, then you
Then
tell me.
explain
You
it.
tell me how all of your DNA got on every one of these gals.
I have no way. I have not a clue.
Well,
haven't been with-
I know
I
you
haven't
don't.
been with these girls.
Well,
I don't know how my DNA got there.
Well, you're laughing. This is not a funny.
No, it's
This
well,
is
when you
not-
tell me something like that, I wasn't with them.
Okay, well then, how did your DNA juice get on these bodies?
I don't know.
You picked up trash for a living in alleys. But you're dumping them like they are trash. You're disposing of these young ladies with in the alley or in the trash bin, and then you're piling stuff on top of them, and they're trash to you. And so it's just, I mean, how do you get there in your brain? How does that happen? It's just without something inside you that's causing you some terrible, terrible struggle going on inside the body that's of Lonnie Franklin that's leaving all this juice everywhere. I mean, this isn't something that your neighbor did or your son did or your uncle or brother-in-law. This is just something you did. Talk to us, Lonnie.
I have nothing to say on that. I don't know none of these people, and
I mean, you think that's just going to make it go away?
no, I didn't say it was going to make it go away. I just have to get an attorney because I didn't know none of these people. So simple as that. I have to get an attorney.
Well, he guesses he wants an attorney now, so.
Okay, Lonnie, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be arrested for murder. You have 10 counts of murder filed against you, along with an attempt murder on the young lady that was survived. You're going to be taken down to the court. You'll be arraigned tomorrow. And then just stand by.
When they book you this afternoon, there's a search warrant going on at your house right now. There's police, people, a lot of different people searching your home right now. And it also added on the search warrant is some things from your body. They're going to take a little blood from you. They're going to take a swab from your mouth, and that's by order of the court. So as on the booking process, that's going to take place as well. Okay? So that's all. We respect your request to have an attorney, and that's it. So any questions?
No questions.
All right.
The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office charged him with 10 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and special circumstance allegation of multiple murders. Upon his arrest in 2010, Franklin's home was searched, and detectives took nearly 1,000 photos of women and teenage girls, some nude, unconscious, bleeding, some presumably dead, into evidence. After identifying the known victims, police began to wonder if there were more murders tied to the Grim Sleeper. At a press conference that followed, Los Angeles Police Chief Charlie Beck told reporters, "We certainly don't believe we are so lucky or so good as to know all of his victims. We need the public's help." On December 16, 2010, the LAPD released 180 photos of women found in Franklin's home after unsuccessful attempts to identify the individuals who were possibly additional victims. These people are not suspects. We don't even know if they are victims, but we do know this. Lonnie Franklin's reign of terror in the city of Los Angeles, which spanned well over 2 decades, culminating with almost a dozen murder victims, certainly needs to be investigated further, said Police Chief Charlie Beck. It's common for serial killers to take breaks in between killings, but at least in this case, a 14-year gap does not seem likely. Though not charged for his murder, police believe Franklin is responsible for the death of Thomas Steele, who was assumed to be the friend of one of Franklin's victims or someone who discovered his identity, as well as anywhere from 14 to 100 unsolved murders of Jane Does. Detectives wonder as to whether Franklin was truly hiding after the botched murder of Washington in 1988, and if anyone could cover up a dead body, it was Franklin. As a sanitation worker for the city, he had access to landfills, leading officials to speculate that he could have disposed of any number of bodies undetected. On November 3, 2011, Reuters reported that police were considering Franklin as a suspect in 6 more slayings. The police were investigating 2 of the 6 as potential victims killed during the 14-year time-lapse between the initial spate of Grim Sleeper murders that ended in 1988 and several more that began in 2002. Of the remaining 4 victims, 2 bodies were discovered in the 1980s and 2 were reported missing in 2005, but the remains of the other 2 were never found, police said. Detectives said they linked Franklin to the 6 additional killings after reviewing hundreds of old case files and seeking the public's help in identifying a collection of 180 photographs of women and girls that were found in his possession. Franklin was charged with 10 murders and 1 attempted murder and held without bail. He was never charged in the death of a suspected 11th victim, Thomas Steele, a crime for which DNA evidence was not found. After a lengthy pretrial discovery and several delays, the trial opened on February 16, 2016. In court, Franklin's lawyers cited reasonable expectation of privacy as the reason the DNA should be thrown out, but the claim of discarded food being private was overruled. Closing arguments began May 2nd, and the jury began deliberating May 4th. On May 5, 2016, after nearly 3 months of trial and a day and a half of jury deliberation, Franklin was convicted of all counts. His sentencing hearing began a week later on May 12th. At the hearing, prosecutors presented evidence relating to 4 other victims they believed had been killed by Franklin. The 4 victims were not among the original set identified by DNA and ballistic evidence as Grim Sleeper victims and had only been identified as such after his arrest. 3 victims were identified as likely Grim Sleeper victims by task force officers investigating unsolved missing persons and homicide reports dating back to 1976. The 4th was identified from evidence found at Franklin's garage after his arrest. Her body has never been found. Prosecutors did not charge Franklin with these murders for fear of delaying the trial even further. On June 6, 2016, a Los Angeles County jury sentenced Franklin to death.
I can't think of anyone that I've encountered in all my many years in the criminal justice system that has committed the kind of monstrous and the number of monstrous crimes that you have. All of these people have been suffering and will continue to suffer, but hopefully, as many of them said, they feel they're going to receive some peace, and I hope that you are able to leave here with some peace today. But it's not vengeance, it's justice, Mr. Franklin. And so, at this time, I will say that the defendant is not eligible for probation, and probation is denied. And so, Lonnie Franklin Jr., for the first-degree murder of Deborah Jackson as alleged in count 1 and the special circumstance of multiple murder, it is the judgment and sentence of this court that you shall suffer the death penalty.
He was then taken to San Quentin State Prison to wait for his death penalty to be carried out. However, in a turn of events, Franklin was found unresponsive in his cell and pronounced dead on March 28, 2020. His cause of death is pending the results of an autopsy as reported. However, there were no signs of trauma. As of July 2023, his cause of death and the results of the autopsy have not been publicly released. The Grim Sleeper case is a chilling example of a serial killer who remained active and undetected for many years, only to be caught through advancements in forensic technology and determined police work. The case highlighted the importance of familial DNA searches and the relentless pursuit of justice for the victims and their families. I hope you enjoyed today's True Crime Sauce story. Make sure to drop a like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more. I will be uploading new videos every Thursday and Saturday. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one.